Hello.
Hey Emerson,
How are you doing?
you can hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
What's your name? I'm
perfect.
sorry.
Perfect.
Emptiness embodied.
Johnny.
Hi, Johnny.
Yeah,
How are you
but yeah,
doing?
yeah, good. How about yourself?
I'm really good. Tell me your story, Johnny. How did you get here?
Well, yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's been like six years, and sort of started with reading The Power of Now,
Okay.
and that just like triggered like a lot of
Yeah.
seeking. I think after a year, I ended up in a monastery,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and after a
Which,
year of being in
yeah.
it was a Ramakrishna mission, like
Okay.
Advaita Vedanta sort of
Okay. Yeah.
monastery, just one in Sydney,
Okay.
Australia. And then, yeah, there was like an opening there. I was like, I
Yeah.
guess what was seen as it has nothing to do with being a monk. And I thought
Yeah.
spirituality was monks and reading Vedas
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And there was like an opening to awareness of awareness, you call it.
Yeah.
And that led me to like Rupert Spira, then like
Yeah.
Adyashanti, and then a bit of Tony Parsons, Jim Newman. And it's been like 4 years since then, and things have just been like
Okay.
getting sort of clearer. And then onto stuff like, have you heard of like the Awakening to Reality blog, that website?
No, no, no. Is it
Okay,
new? A
it's
new
it's just
one?
sort of it's pretty old, but it's all
Okay.
about like sort of anatta and like no self and emptiness, like the
Anata.
sort
Okay.
of
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that sort of
Yeah.
no self sort of concepts and ideas. And
Mm.
then I've been inquiring into them. And I guess I'm here because there's just still so much doubt in my
Yeah.
experience. Like it feels like things are clear, but there's always this like persistent doubt of like,
Yeah.
is this really it? Is it that simple? Is there more I
Yeah.
got to find out? Because my path has sort of been, there's been sort of different layers of openings and different sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
shifts in perception and
Yeah.
identity. And it's like, does it end?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess, yeah.
Are you, how
So
did
that's
you
the
hear of
thing.
me? I don't know. I'm curious.
Um,
Yeah.
so simply always awake, Angelo.
Oh, Angelo. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I saw an interview between you guys, and
Okay.
I just really liked the way the way it was presented. I recently went to one of his retreats, like a few weeks ago in Australia, which was
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
In Australia. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Are you teaching right now, Johnny?
yeah. I do.
You
I do
are.
actually have a
Okay.
channel and stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful. That's beautiful. That's awesome.
yeah.
Um, well, what do you believe?
What do I like? My
Yeah.
current beliefs right
Yeah,
now.
that's right. Yeah.
I guess it's an interesting one.
Yeah. I just want to get
I
right
guess there's
into it, right?
yeah, no, it's perfect. Yeah. I guess the core belief is like, is this really it?
Yeah.
Like there's a doubt,
Yeah.
there's it, and then this voice comes in and goes, is that really it? Is it,
Yeah.
what if it isn't? Like
Yeah.
it's possible that you're deluding yourself, or this
Yeah.
is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like a constant doubting
Yeah.
of experience, I guess, and that's
Yeah. What if there's no next? What if you can't access the past and the future because they're just thoughts? Where's the
yeah,
belief?
yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually line up.
It
Like it
doesn't
doesn't
line
make
up, doesn't
sense.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What if the whole thing that seems to create this doubt is just a structure of Johnny, which is just basically a bunch of thoughts? And a bunch of thoughts basically will just take you to the past and the future. Without the past and the future, there are no thoughts, or they're irrelevant at
Mm.
best. Um, so if you don't have access to the past and the future, which are just thoughts, what is wrong with right now?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's because I've heard it so many times, but I don't know why
But
why in this.
But have you really
setting
heard?
its,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So with this clarity, clarity just really direct, right? There's no belief. What's between belief and no belief?
yeah,
Okay. What's
yeah,
between a self and no self?
yeah,
Yeah. So all you really have is
yeah. I guess
belief.
that,
And the
mm,
belief is just really a thought, and a belief does not work if there's no past or future.
yeah,
So you're basically stuck in this
no,
infinite now.
that's trippy.
Yeah, isn't it trippy?
Yeah, that's trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the mind just trying to find a ground. It's like, where can I land? And
Yeah,
it's just not
yeah.
finding anything.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to give that.
Yeah.
Because I can't. You
No,
know what
and
I'm saying?
I think, yeah, I think
There's nowhere to land.
that's the whole issue, isn't it?
It
That
is.
trying
That's
to,
it's
it's like
so
my whole
simple.
life I've been trying to find somewhere to land. And
No,
that's
no.
the seeking the
Yeah,
exhaustion. Yeah.
it is. But it doesn't have anything to land because it doesn't even exist. So
Yeah.
what's to land and where to land?
That's wild.
How are you feeling right now, Johnny? Before I continue.
Yeah, good. Very trippy. It's weird. An hour before this call, I was out with a friend and it felt like my head popped. I don't
Yeah,
know if that understand that, but this was
yeah,
before the call, and I feel like there's been this weird build up to this call of like
yeah,
weird experiences happening, and then
yeah,
before the call, it felt like
yeah,
I was went from like being in the head to like it popping and
yeah.
sort of it's something I don't know. I guess that's just an experience or whatnot, but yeah, and this is just
I
making it clear. Wow.
Isn't it clear? Huh? It's so
Mm,
clear without words. And if you really look at it, all the basis of your thoughts are just words. And the words, if you really look at it, are made up. What is a word? Nothing but a bunch of alphabets
yeah.
forming
Yeah,
a
I was just
word.
thinking that. And like a bunch of people have just ascribed something to it, you know what I mean? But
That's
on
right.
their
Yeah.
own, they're nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to talk about this because it can't be talked about. But at least I admit it. The
Yeah.
clarity is not in my knowledge, not in my wisdom, because I have none of those. Those are just ideas. And pure humility here that I know shit. And and I don't think anyone knows shit too.
Yeah.
Every,
No,
everyone,
because I noticed, yeah, sorry,
go
my
ahead, go
next
ahead.
question, my
Yeah.
mind goes, what is this?
Okay.
What is it then? This,
Yeah. So what is between this and that? What is between this and not this?
yeah. Yeah, you could, yeah,
Because
you could only say there's only, yeah,
it's only, yeah, again,
yeah.
the mind, the character, the individual, the ego, the me, the self, no self, whatever you want to call it, right? Always wants to hide behind a belief, behind an idea. When it can't hide, then it's direct. Then awareness, aware of awareness does not make sense, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Even nothing being
Yeah,
everything
like
from Tony
what would even do
Parsons,
that? Yeah.
even nothing being everything, Tony Parsons, does that make sense? No. But yet there's
Yeah.
clarity
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like it's indescribable, this freedom, because it's not prescribed by anybody. It's not an idea.
Yeah, it feels like an injustice to say anything about it or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like to call it awareness is an insult, right?
Mm.
To call
Yeah.
it consciousness is an insult, right? To call it
Yeah.
nothing is another insult.
Yeah. It's like, how can you know it? Like,
No.
it's so
Yeah.
profound and like
Yeah.
you can't put it's yeah, it's silly to put like a human word to it or
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
And people don't like it when I say this. It's also an insult to call it God
Mm.
because that's just another idea. You know what I'm saying? This
Yeah, it's
is,
like it's trying to like box it in, like
yeah,
put a little
yeah, yeah.
box over it.
So one of the thing that when I had this like seemingly breakthrough, when I could not find Emerson because Emerson's just a thought. I could not find time because Emerson holds time. I could not find a belief, and everything was just falling down, falling down. I was like freaking out. I'm like, what's going on, kind of thing. The last thing that fell apart was my belief in God. But yet
Mm.
it was almost this sharp, oh no. And then all of a sudden, everything became clear. And I'm like, oh, everything is dot dot dot.
Yeah.
It's not my belief or non-belief because that is still includes a me or a self or an ego, right?
Yeah, it's so so sneaky.
It's so
Even
sneaky. Yeah.
holding on to something like infinite consciousness, it feels so stable and like how could
Yeah.
anything be sort of not that anything's beyond it, but like how could that be a truer truth? But it's like it's still
Yeah.
just like a little center or like fixation, I
It's a
guess. Yeah.
fixation. Yeah. And even, you know what, when even when you say nothing, um, or unknowing, it has the,
Mm.
it also, it's just another landing. There's no landing to this, right? So
Yeah.
it's when I say it's unknowable, I mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually, yeah.
You see it now, right? Not you, but you
Yeah.
see it without words, right? It's like you can like just came out of a dream, right? Of words, and you're like, what the?
Yeah. I was so like intellectualizing, like reading all these, I guess, like books and books. Like I've got just
Yeah.
bookshelves of books on Buddhism, trying to like there was
No,
like an
no.
intuitive feeling, but I've been trying to pin it down, and I think that's where I've been
I'm the same as you, man,
going
Johnny.
wrong.
Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm one of those super seekers. I almost went to a monastery, and I did a whole bunch of stuff, but it's instead of became a spiritual teacher, like I thought I was
Yeah.
enlightened actually, and
Yeah.
but my idea of enlightenment was romanticized. I was blissful because I was helping others. And
Mm.
and but when I realized it was just another idea, like, okay, check it out, check it out. Okay. So there is no self or self. Those are both ideas. So even the idea of anatta is just another idea. The idea of consciousness is just another idea. Without ideas, it's, I don't know what to say. So every idea, every seeking is self reinforcement. It's
Mm.
self centered, it's self perpetuating. Even practices are self perpetuating. Even the absolute selfless idea is still self focused.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Right. It's because I've done it all. I've done it all. I've done
Yeah.
the self-effacing, the self-denial, the self-improvement, anything, but it's all in the realm of the self.
Yeah. It's just like whacking your head against a wall, kind
Yeah.
of over and over again, like expecting something different to happen. Even there's like even if you hit lighter, you go, oh, if I hit it just a little bit lighter, maybe or harder, yeah,
If you go to my
yeah,
website
yeah.
on my booking thing, I don't know if you noticed, there's a wall that's coming at you. It's a moving wall.
Oh, yeah,
Do you
right.
get it now?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I didn't notice that, but that's cool. Wow.
Yeah. That's what happened to me. I was just like banging my head over and over the wall. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But if you look at that,
Mm,
who's doing this? What are you
yeah.
doing? It's all thoughts. We are in a dream of thoughts, and the thoughts create reality, and reality is our thought.
Mm.
It's only a thought. But say
Yeah, and
that,
because they're not, because there's no ground. It can never grasp
no,
or like it can never put a hold on it because there's nothing to. Yeah,
yeah.
I think Angelo said something good. It's like trying to pin like sticky printer like piece of paper in the air, like a sticky note onto like into the air. Like that's
Yeah.
what it's like
Oh,
trying
I
to
like
like
that. Yeah.
box reality and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like
But the
wow.
character right away will say, who's sticking the paper on the note then?
Mm,
How do I do that? See how it's
yeah,
translated, right?
yeah,
Like it's quite tricky. It's quite so tricky because um yeah, it's wordless. It's just unthinkable. And people think, well, how do I do the unthinkable? How do I catch the wordless? It has nothing to do with you, and you are a thought.
Yeah. Wow.
What's
It's
yeah,
so, so clear. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's so boundless. It's like, oh
Yeah, it's relieving.
yeah.
And it's interesting. I noticed thoughts like a thought was like, oh, I want it to be more like
Yeah.
blissful, but it's just it that that's and then it's just like, what do you even mean by that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would you want anything from
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Like putting any demand on it. Like it's so as it is,
It
just
is. It is. Yeah, it
yeah.
is. And it is quite a trickster, right? If it's just a trickster, but it's
Mm,
also innocent at the same time.
yeah.
It's like the ultimate prank, isn't it? Right? Because you're getting pranked by words. And in here
Yeah.
you are facing it day to day. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like thinking, how do I get out of this? What should I do? And none of that is relevant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you look at
it's
it even,
crazy.
yeah, it will just keep on going. It will just keep the illusion is quite it's like it's perfect. It's
Mm,
perfect. Right. So for example, if you think well, how can I hold on to this? Then it goes back and there's nothing to hold on. There's no next outside of a thought. There's no this that you're holding on to. And for quite a while I've been saying this. I kind of stopped doing that because people intellectualize what this is. Saying I actually
mm.
have a book that I'm supposed to release, but the title is this, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It becomes stale when you start, because there could be a profoundness with saying it's just this. This is it,
Yeah.
right? But the moment it lands, it becomes stale.
Yeah.
So I
It's almost
really,
like it has to keep evolving or something.
it
Like
does.
so
It's a shape
not enough
shifting.
time for the mind to grab onto.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, yeah. And it's like
Yeah.
a shape shifting kind of like knowledge, but it's not even a knowledge, right? But the knowledge is
Yeah.
fake. What I did with my books is because I was having those, like I was seeking for 8 to 10 hours a day, and I was a spiritual teacher already, and I thought I lost it. So I was we're like in the same thing, you're kind of like a teaching, but like I can't seem to grasp it. What's happening? I've had many glimpses, I had hundreds of glimpses,
Yeah.
but
I can
somehow,
I can relate with you. Yeah.
yeah,
Like teaching it probably a bit too prematurely and then like yeah,
that's
and
what
then
I
like it
did.
going away and being
That's
like,
what I
oh no,
did.
I've started this channel and then the seeking just goes through the roof.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny now. It's like all that intensity and it's like it's there the whole time, like going to the monastery, sitting in Vipassanas for like hours and hours a day and
And the
reading book after book. And it's
self-importance,
like,
right? Because you've done this,
yeah,
you've done the work, it's about
yeah,
me, right? Like kind of like what I did. I'm like, well, I gave up my corporate job, and I gave, sold my house, and helped the people on the streets, help at risk youth. I probably help thousands of people. So you have this self
wow,
grandioseness, right? That kind of thing. I'm like, and then when you have that wowness, right? That glimpse, and then you can like, well, I have something to teach. And then you keep
yeah,
on, you keep on, what, hoarding all of these teachings, so that you become the ultimate teacher, right? And but what is happening is that you're feeding what does not exist. And it's like a hungry
yeah,
ghost that there's no stomach, right? It just falls off because there's nothing. And even nothing is saying way too much. I don't use the word nothing as much anymore.
yeah,
That's why I like these one-on-ones now than the meetings, because it's so direct.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy how for some reason how clear it just became through
Yeah.
first
First 2
a
minutes.
meeting. Yeah, yeah. I was just like, well, yeah. It was weird that the effect already. It's almost I've had this
have you
with
seen
leading up to
have you seen
retreats
some
or
of
something.
have you seen the one-on-ones, my one-on-ones yet?
Yeah, that's what inspired me to. This was I saw a
Yeah.
one-on-one
That,
on
that,
Friday, the most recent one where
that
the guy got it straight away, and I just went,
that's what
I,
that's
I got
what
to,
it
yeah,
that's what usually happens when somebody wants just a
mm,
one-on-one. a lot of people don't know actually book one-on-ones with me because they watch the playlist and they just, they're like, and I get like these long, long letters. I get one or two or sometimes
Wow.
three a day now of people saying that thank you for your playlist. I've been seeking for a long, long time and everything.
Yeah.
And then people usually that book see the one once it plans something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's probably what happened. Well, that's just a story again. That's just another thought.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
But yeah. Yeah. Because I remember, yeah, I watched it and it was like it clicked for me when I watched it.
Yeah.
But there's just been this twinge of doubt which has hung around probably my whole path, like this subtle just, and then yeah, that's why I was like, I need to just talk to you to
Yeah. Well, this
just get it
doubt will be
out
called
up
out
in
that
the
it doesn't
open.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's so
I've
it's
been talking to
laughable now.
a lot of teachers now. Like this past 2 weeks, a lot of teachers
Interesting.
I've talked to. Yeah. And they're like,
That
okay, this
seems
is,
so interesting.
yeah. They're like, kind of embarrassing, Emerson, but I have a team. Like, don't be, because I was there. So it's kind of like we went to the same path in the story, right? It's kind of like,
Hmm.
you know, um,
Yeah,
um,
that's what I related as well. I heard you tell your story and I was like, oh, like I think I can relate. And it's funny how I was like, part of me is like, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm a teacher. And I was like, wow, look at the mechanism of the mind like
yeah.
blocking you from doing that. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Yeah.
when
Out of
I
like
thought
self-consciousness or something. Yeah.
yeah, when I thought I lost my enlightenment, you know what I'm saying? In the story anyway, I never got it too. I would go to the gurus, but I would come like, by the way, I'm a teacher. I got this before,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it's funny.
now everything
Yeah.
is in equal footing, isn't it? Right? You're like, oh
Mm.
wow, it's so humbling to see this, the clarity.
Yeah, I can't it doesn't like can't even fathom me the idea of like an awakened and non-awakened. Like it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's just
It's
like unfathomable. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Because one side, and this is just to, to clarify it. No, I love whatever, like one side, like Rupert will be awareness, and some of the people would be kind
mm,
of like, like the Anada, the Buddhism, more spiritual, more like a belief, basically, right? And
yeah,
then one opposite side goes into the radical. It's a non-belief. There's no one here. And then the other side will
yeah.
say it's everything. And then one side will say there's nothing being everything. The other side will be aware of awareness. Belief
And
and
it's like you're
unbelief
all
are
then
both
another one like you're all
thoughts,
yeah,
both
yeah,
thoughts. I'm not talking about that, saying,
yeah.
and I didn't even click it to me. I'm like, oh, okay. It's because I use words to dispel words. I use
Mm,
belief to disbelief. And again, I'm not even doing much of it, because it just clicks in, right? It's like, what the hell?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like
Wow. Yeah, it's so
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, just so freeing. That's just wanted to say. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's ordinary and it's free and it's just wow. Yeah. So in
yeah.
your teachings, Johnny, you teach more meditations and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm more just I think I just teach more like I teach a lot about fixations or like things sticking points on the path or
Yeah,
like just I usually just turn the camera on and
yeah,
speak.
yeah,
And I'm usually just pointing to the present, whatever that is
yeah,
now, and like a lot of I guess emotional work and things of that
yeah.
nature. That's like another, I guess, string
No, that's beautiful too.
of
That's it too.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah. I try not to fixate in anything as well, and be
yeah,
too
yeah.
radical or too um
Spiritual
like
to
because
advaita.
yeah, like you said, there's another one who are like everyone's emotional oppressors, and then someone's like everything's just awareness, and someone's like none of that. You know what I mean? It's all
And if you
like you're
notice,
saying, like all
every notice every
yeah,
the one side is talking shit about the other side. One side is talking shit about the
yeah.
other side. Someone will be like,
Even if
"Oh,
it's
they're
subtly, yeah,
yeah, yeah, they're just teachers," and one side will be like, "Ah, you know what? They don't have the direct whatever. You know what?
yeah,
Or they don't. They don't have the heart. But it's all thoughts.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's just like our own minds.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when there's disagreements and
It is, and
yeah,
it goes
yeah,
basically like this, right? So one will say that this is a teaching, this is a non-teaching.
yeah,
What's in between that?
Mm. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just like the sweet spot.
It is, isn't it? Right. So if you teach,
Because
you don't teach, it
the
doesn't
mind can't
matter.
wrestle it. Yeah.
No, if
Yeah.
you teach, you don't teach, it doesn't matter. If you talk about
Yeah.
emotions, not emotion, it doesn't matter because it's free. It's free. You're
Yeah.
not adhered to a thought, to a group think or
Mm.
a collective kind of like thinking. This is not collective at all. This is really fresh if you see it. It's really fresh.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's whatever. You know? It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's just nothing for the mind to chew on there.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
no concept to play with, nothing to
Yeah.
chew on. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you know what? If anything that's named is a concept, if you look at it, right? So,
Mm.
calling it a no concept or no teaching, that's a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aware of awareness, that's
Yeah.
a
It's just,
concept.
yeah, it's just the same as yeah, it's like calling it a teaching or a non-teaching. Like
It's
you're
the
not,
same thing.
one's not better than the other. Yeah. It's the
And
same. Yeah.
you know what? It's kind of funny, right? But if you look at it, they're belief systems. And then someone will say, well, there's no one to believe. That's still a belief.
Yeah.
So we'll say, well, it's just all
Yeah.
awareness. That's still a belief, right?
Yeah. Or awareness is empty and not really. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's just another
oh,
thing. Yeah. Or it's just what's happening. It's just another belief. Who
well,
knows that this is what's happening, right?
yeah.
It's so simple. It's so fast. I actually, aside from the teachers, now I have coaches that book me next week. They're like, what the hell is going on? Kind of thing, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's this is really underground, isn't it?
Mm.
It's like it's almost like it because it's not. I don't have a community, you know.
Yeah. Well, just it'd go against it if it, you know what I mean? If it made one or
This is
like,
the rebel. Yeah, this is the, the
yeah.
actual. This is turning the tables completely, kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like because
Yeah.
everybody's just fighting with thoughts. I'm like, I don't have nothing to debate about. It's just flinging
Mm.
words basically back and forth, right? It's like my word is better than
Yeah.
yours. My belief is
Yeah.
better than yours, but they won't say that, and it's okay, and it's also part of it. So when I say it doesn't matter, people meditate or not, I really mean it. I really, really mean it. It can help in a dream. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. How are you feeling now? Still in that wow thing, like, oh,
yeah, just like, yeah, this is, yeah, just very, I could get used to this. Like
yeah,
it's more of like a relief, it's more relieving.
yeah, it is.
Like I saw this meme the other day that was like a Forrest Gump, and he was like, you know, when he does that massive run and he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
stops and he's like, okay,
Okay, yeah.
think I'll go home now. Like someone
Yeah,
made
yeah,
that into
that's
a
the one.
meme. It's
Yeah.
like that. It's like,
That's
it's just
perfect.
like, yeah,
You've done everything. You're like, oh, and that's what I did. You know what? Because at one point I was just so, it was just so almost psychotic because I was,
mm,
remember that scene from A Beautiful Mind where Russell Crowe is like trying to figure out something, and he had a whole bunch of books. So I had a whole bunch of holy books, like spiritual books, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and the Open Secret, the Power of Now,
yeah,
you name it, right? So I'm like looking at that.
yeah. I've got them all too. Yeah,
Guess what I did? I was about to donate it. I'm like, oh, this will do more harm than good. So I usually recycle. I didn't even recycle. I just put it in the garbage bag and just like, okay, kind of like Forrest Gump. Okay, I think I'm gonna go home now.
yeah. It's literally like running on a treadmill. I was thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like it's just on a treadmill. You're not going anywhere, and you can
yeah,
turn the intensity up, but
yeah,
you're not
yeah,
in the. Yeah, it's not.
yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. One of the coaches basically said, "This might ruin my business." I said, "No, no, because that's also it." You know what I'm saying? That's also it. It's just it's just a belief, no belief, but there's more clarity. Like um, yeah, the clarity, and it's almost like it's so it's so direct and so profound and so beautiful, so humble. Words, I'm coming up with words, but I can't come up with it. So to get stuck in an idea, to get stuck in a belief, like it's all awareness, there's no one here, is getting caught up again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, it's so true.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like the mind, it's the go-to, wants to interpret it, wants to write it down, wants to
yeah.
organize it, wants to
That's
like
right. Yeah,
make it
yeah.
into something special. And
And
now
then
it
it,
just,
it makes it the right one, right? This is the right one. People are so convinced that, either, when people are, because it's funny, something happened along the way, speaking about this, that the one-on-ones were, people subscribe on the one-on-ones, not the meetings that I do. Like, I was looking at the stats, I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? It's almost like people watch the meetings but they don't subscribe, what I'm saying? But the one-on-ones that come up, it's like, um they're like, one video would have like 2,000 subscribers right away. It's kind of like,
wow,
it's wild. It's kind of like, it's something's catching on. It's, again, this is just a story, this is nothing better or worse, it's what's
mm,
always the clarity, without words, without anything, without labels, right? So I even admit sometimes, I'm like, I don't know if I can even call this non-duality anymore, because it's just another thought.
it is, it's another like trying to box
Yeah, yeah,
this, whatever this
yeah,
is in.
whatever this
Yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how long, when did you start? You're a young guy. Like, when did you start seeking?
I
Were
think I
you,
was 17, 18,
wow,
like 20, 24, almost 25 now. Yeah.
wow, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty, it's been so intense. Done my partner's head in, like the
yeah.
relationship I'm in. She's just like, you got to figure this out because you're sending yourself crazy. And yeah, it's like,
Yeah. Well,
so yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah.
I'm happy
Sorry,
that it's
continue.
in the story, it's happening to younger people now. But at the same time, I wanted to kind of like slap you too, because I'm 52 now,
Yeah.
what I'm saying in the story. What the heck?
How many years was it? Like, how long was your
Oh
path?
man. I've ruined relationships. I was like, it's like I went to the cult of the thought, the self, the me. It's like I
Mm,
gave up my corporate job. My
wow.
relationship. My marriage. I had to divorce. Stuff like that. Right? It was just
Crazy.
like nuts, nuts, nuts. Like, I thought I had to. Um, not communicate with my family anymore, because that was an obstacle for my true enlightenment, or dropping. And then I
Wow.
believe in the dropping away of the me. I believe in the contract energy. So I just kept on believing and believing and believing. And then I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? There was just this clarity, and I could not speak for a whole month. I was just like dumbfounded. I'm like, what? You know?
Wow.
So and I was like, and I didn't even have any, it's kind of funny. After that, I didn't even have any desire to talk about this. I didn't want to be a
Mm,
speaker or teacher. I was like, I even have an interview. Someone, I guess, noticed that there was clarity here. And someone did an interview, and the interviewer said, why don't you become a speaker? I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I said, no, no, no. So, because the first time, my first rodeo of it, I was, it was too soon. It was too soon.
mm,
Like, it was too soon. Like, all of a sudden, when you open up a free stuff, and then when you start helping, communities, and you instantly become a saint, and and,
mm,
and people think that you're in a pedestal right away, right? That you're, and but in the story, the character also wants to have fun, also will
yeah.
cry, also will be sad, will go through a divorce. And I thought those were not allowed. So I was trying to control all of that. But yeah, wild,
Yeah. Wow.
wild, wild.
Yeah. It's wild.
I
It
went
must have
through
been
I
just
went
like,
through
wait
the
a,
I went through
yeah.
the opposite spectrums, right? Like, from the devotee to the jnana, you know what I'm saying? Almost went to a monastery, to the um jnana, bhakti, karma, all of that stuff, right? Like, in the Eastern
Yeah.
philosophy, did the yamas and the niyamas, and did a course in miracles, all of that belief thing, and then went to the opposite side, got really depressed, you know what I'm saying? And just kept on hitting my head over the wall. Literally, I was hitting my head over, on the wall over and over, listening to
Yeah.
radical stuff, right? And I don't know when it cracked because I can like give both up basically. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm just want to DJ and stuff. And yeah, it cracked. It cracked, and I didn't even know because I could not label it right for quite
Mm.
a while. And I think the one-on-ones were the ones that can like started kind of like creating a difference, I guess, because one side people would be like, nothing will ever happen. It doesn't happen to anyone. And one side will say that, um, um, it's practices and everything, but I've done both. So yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you? Sorry, let's hear your more kind of like an extended version of your story. Although it doesn't matter if you know what I mean, but it's nice
Yeah.
to talk about it. It's almost like a recap. I'm like,
No,
like
it's nice. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's just so much. Yeah, same as you. So much. I was doing everything at once. I
yeah,
felt
me too.
like I was watching Rupert, I was watching Tony, I'm watching Angelo. I'm doing like inquiries or what, like just it's just madness looking at it. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to. My memories
And I
aren't
love those
working at the
guys
moment.
still.
It's
You know
kind
what
of
I'm saying? There's
crazy.
love still. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No. Yeah. No.
yeah.
I love them all. They're all just part of it.
yeah.
Part of everything
Yeah.
expressing itself how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's just like a
Yeah.
yeah. Everything feels like acid trippy. Everything's just
Right now, yeah. Isn't it
life just
acid? Yeah.
changing forms and yeah. It's
yeah.
almost like acidy. Like
Yeah.
just forms and colors just changing. Yeah, even just it's been coming on, but
Yeah.
this meeting for some reason was
Yeah.
it's just
So it's
so
almost the
clear.
culmination of the opposites, and boom, there are no opposites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like even as I'm speaking right now, it doesn't even feel like I'm speaking, but to
No.
say there's no doer as well as another fixation
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. When
Yeah.
I always say this, right? Because you know what, I always catch characters although this is just a story in their thoughts. This is what's obvious here. When I'm speaking in this directness, I don't have any thoughts. I'm not even here because that's just a thought. Even that is just another thought, but the directness, there's no location of what's happening. There's no thoughts. There's just immediacy. There's just this directness. And, um, and it's almost like all I can see is the mask of the, what I can't talk about called, Janni. And all he has is kind of like what I said. What do you believe? It was so fast. You're like, ah,
That
shit.
was that was the best way to start it because yeah, it was so like that was so good.
Did you see the
I was
last
like,
one?
wow,
Because I have to
that was
touch my
quick.
head to make sure that I'm here.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's quick, huh?
yeah,
It's quick. Yeah.
yeah. That was yeah. I was like, well, that was yeah, just set me right there because but it's good because I feel like I've gone there before, but the doubt takes me
yeah.
out of it. Just
Yeah.
having that
Yeah.
clear, just getting pointed there for some reason by someone else,
Yeah.
and then I don't know. It was like don't. It just I just knew not to move out, and then there was some thoughts, and I just was like, we're not even buying into them anymore.
Yeah. well, the thought will only take you to the next with
Yeah.
a it's time based. You know what I'm saying? So anything
Mm.
that's time based is an illusion. Everything that's inside is an illusion. So even feelings about it, gets hijacked by this thought, the belief, that this is not it, that there's a doubt here. When it's just basically, is this flexing?
Yeah.
It's just still this flexing, so it's just it's wild, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
or one time I tell this story all the time. I was like walking, I'm like, oh, I'm so clear, this is the best I've ever been. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's this tightness in my chest. I'm like, oh no. So I went home and it took some antacid and it was just gas. Here I was thinking, I'm like, did I lose it again? You know what I'm saying? But it
It's
has
great.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with your thoughts. Yeah. Like, is there really contracted energy?
Yeah. It's like where even our thoughts anyway.
Yeah, I
Do you know what I mean?
don't.
Like they're like if there's like this just view that you have them and they pop up in your head, but like it just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And where are they going and who's
Yeah.
what's sort of even there?
Yeah.
They're just, yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't know. I was like thinking, yeah, like what are even these things appearing called? They call it thoughts, but is it really thoughts without a word? Or is it just the same as whatever that we can talk about? It's all the whole. There's nothing
Yeah,
to get rid of, nothing to, but it becomes irrelevant when you see that it's just a prankster.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's perfectly managed. There's no,
It
like, I don't need to interfere with it. It's everything, little particle, whatever, is just happening on its own and just taking its own course. There's
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't need
It's
to, yeah,
sometimes you kind of like, I'm like sitting and then just see pixels everywhere, like this. But the pixels are also still. I don't know if that makes sense,
mm,
right? It's just this wild trip. It's like one of those when those kind of like, like 3D things that you look at it, and then when you look at different angle, you're like, oh, there it is.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like an optical illusion, basically. It's an optical illusion. Thoughts are an illusion, and the thoughts hijacks the aliveness and calls it sadness, doubt, feelings, emotions. And if it's so funny, right? You'll encounter this when you're kind of like doing your sessions and everything. When you call it a thought, there's going to be a big kind of like, no, it's not. It becomes this kind of like almost like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like they dismiss you right away because you're being very,
yeah,
very
okay.
clear. It's so clear that
Mm,
they can't take it. They're like, no, according to this, it's, you have to be aware of awareness. According to this, it's contracted energy. There's a dropping away. But I'm like, that's just thoughts.
yeah, it's like you just get, that's your thought, and that's another one, and you just like keep them coming,
Yeah,
It's
keep it
like,
coming. That's all.
yeah,
That's all if there is. And
yeah,
they're like, you know what a waste of time. I had someone basically that because believe so much in what the others are saying, right? That when I'm calling
yeah,
them out, it's like, you can't be. You can't be, what, because they haven't noticed that they put people on a pedestal
mm,
and they believe them now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's always going to be
Someone's
like,
just
if
like, this is just a waste of time, they said.
this is
Yeah.
just a waste of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
they
guess
use
it's not what they wanted.
no,
It
no,
just
the
feels like
person
it's
actually
no
came
one
back.
really,
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, it feels like this is like when like what the ego wants is like the enlightenment, the grandiose,
Exactly. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
blissful
Yeah.
feeling. This is
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
really for like it's
Yeah.
not really wantable
No,
because
no,
it's the
no.
end of any it's the end of
This,
beings, anything.
yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even that's saying too much, right?
That's saying too much. Yeah. But the
Yeah.
person is so funny, right? Goes, this is waste of time. So, um, I think this was like a couple of weeks ago, and that video came out. He goes, no, no, I want that. I want that. So yeah, it's just thoughts. It's just thoughts. I'm like, now you believe that it's just thoughts again. I'm like, that's just a thought. It's so funny, right? In this seeking is because the seeking becomes the identity of the nameless. And that
Mm.
identity becomes the reality of the nameless. And when it has the identity, then it feels that it's seen, but this is obliterating that identity as a seeker because it destroys hierarchies.
Yeah.
Is there anyone better or less than you now? No.
Yeah,
See?
no, it seems silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're just I like thoughts, ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't there pure equality here now?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
right?
just
We're now
yeah,
buddies.
that's
You know
what I
what
mean.
I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was saying before, like it's unfathomable that there's awake and non-awake
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
beings.
yeah.
It's such a funny
And
concept.
usually the nervousness happens. It's like, what if what Emerson is saying is actually true? Although there's no true or false thing, right? What if he's right? Then everything that I've done is just BS, basically. And that's it too. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's funny. I had it. This was a while ago, but I had a quite a strong glimpse,
Yeah.
and I noticed there was a thought, and it was just like, where am I gonna get my approval from? Like that just came out of that glimpse. It was like it was a grieving
yeah.
feeling, but it was a part of me that obviously was
Yeah.
like, where can I get
Yeah.
approval from anymore? And I thought it was funny. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was quite deep-seated.
It is.
Yeah,
Well, this
yeah,
is such a funny, complete delusional, Emerson. When I thought that I would get the final enlightenment, like I'm surely, what, I would see Buddha and he would give me a certificate, or Christ would
yeah,
pat me on the back. He goes, "Oh, you're a part of us," like, or there'll be like fireworks in the sky or whatever. How
yeah.
grandiose, how the apparent ego wants to take it to the furthest, by being there.
Mm,
Did you see what happened? When the belief, you were not there. There was no you there. There was no ego there. It's just, there's no ego now. Where is it?
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
funny.
yeah. Where is it?
Just
Where's the
like some
mind?
distant, yeah.
So good.
Wow. So yeah, it's so crafty in how it constructs such a solid feeling sense. And then you're right, it has to constantly defend it or add to it
Yeah, yeah,
to like reassert its,
yeah.
I don't know, it's that it's not, the structure isn't really there.
No, and if you look at, I always say this, and people don't get it when I say this. I'm like, this is the kicking off all of the pedestals. This is the rebellion. This is the yanking of all the authority figures, all the words that we have put meanings, the empires. This is the fall of belief systems, basically. And it's freedom. And it's hard for people because they invested in non-duality or spirituality. But there's this freedom from that. There's also freedom in, still doing whatever, you know what I'm saying? But to in the story, to get to this point is almost like a, um you almost have to get caught red-handed that you're not there. And all of your beliefs, all of your structures fall apart. And again, there's nothing wrong with spirituality, non-duality, but they're just structures. Where are the structures
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, it's the end of like spirituality as
Yeah,
even as an idea of just,
yeah,
yeah, so like so ordinary,
yeah,
but
it is. Yeah.
yeah.
But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? If the again, because choosing is a thought. Without any thoughts, there's just whatever this is. Um, then the people that are actually coaching or teaching has a lighter, clearer, you know what I'm saying, expression
Mm,
now. You can still do what you want to do, you know what, Johnny? It's not like about giving up anything.
yeah.
It's just clearer, you know what I'm saying? It's just more clarity.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't even
It
know
doesn't matter.
what will happen, but it doesn't matter whether I just like, yeah, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
matter. Yeah,
yeah,
but
like what happens next if the channel continues. If it doesn't,
yeah.
it doesn't even make sense to make a choice. Even do you know what I mean? It will just
Yeah.
it will take care of itself.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does. That's beautifully expressed, actually. You'll have a beautiful expression talking about this, Johnny. I can already tell. So
yeah.
I do hope in a story that you continue your channel.
Yeah. 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 I think so. I
But
think
it
it'll be
doesn't
fun. I
matter
think it'll be
too, right?
fun.
It's just,
Yeah.
I always say this though. I'm like, I don't really have any attachments, and I really mean that, right? It's
Yeah.
like, if something occurred and I have to work at McDonald's, I'll be just like, would you like your fries with everything or nothing?
Yeah. It's just a special. For some reason, that like sounds special to me. Working at Macca's or just garbage dump driver, or even in a corporate, like it doesn't. It's all
It doesn't
special
matter. It's all
in its own
special in its
way.
own. Yeah. And at the
Yeah.
same time, there's nothing special about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
duality, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so funny, right? And I was not catching on to it, because I guess I'm just content. I've been content for a few years now, for about 7 years now. There's this contentment here. And there's also this fanboying about what this is, right? So I was supporting a whole bunch of different speakers. Um, I didn't even catch on that what is being expressed are still thoughts, if you notice
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the classic finger pointing at the moon, right?
Yeah.
Like
It is.
it's still mistaking the finger as like like the radical is the
Exactly.
ultimate finger, you know what I mean? But
That's right. Or
it's still
awareness is
just
the infinite
pointing. Yeah.
finger and still pointing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
none of those, you know. It's
Yeah.
that's why, you know what, it's so funny, right? Because people are like, um how can you how can you speak about this? I'm like, I can't really, but that's the fun thing about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah. I
like,
get it. And I
you
like
get
what you
it
said
right.
about it constantly changing. Like I feel like that's important because
Yes, you get it.
if it's too, yeah,
Finally someone
if
said it,
it's
because I'm always changing. It's just like, you know, it's like,
yeah,
it's always like, it's like, I'm like, oh shit, people are believing this now, or, you know, like what I said,
yeah,
you
because
know.
before you know it, there'll be like the church of this. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
that
Yeah,
will
yeah,
if you
yeah. And
keep
that's what's
saying this is
happening
it,
right
they'll be the
now.
yeah,
This, and
yeah,
there's kind of like there's a whole bunch of this is, you know, just this, even, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's becoming a church now again, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of
yeah,
people. So I keep on shedding my audience.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah,
care, you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
You got to keep shape shifting. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And but, you know, it's like
yeah,
I have some people that are doing in a meditation group that have come to me, and someone's saying, oh my goodness, Emerson, you're depleting the community. It's like
yeah. Wow.
and it's still, I don't take it seriously. I love what I do though. My goodness, you know, when I saw you, how relieved you are, that meant everything to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's almost like it's like, I know it doesn't really matter, to be honest, but at the same time, you know what? It feels amazing to see you see through it so instantly, you know,
Yeah. No,
without.
I could imagine because you can understand the suffering of that incessant seeking.
I know that
Yeah,
suffering, man, and it's,
yeah,
I would
your
not wish
story
that
sounded
on.
intense. Yeah,
Oh my goodness. So even a quarter of that is yeah, like
yeah.
I was just at my nephew's barbecue with a couple of friends, and one of my best friends, you know, saying from a long time ago, and he goes, "You're okay until you got into the spirituality, and you're neurotic, man." And they were like laughing, because you're like, for a person that's supposed to be meditating all the time, you're the most stressed out ones. They're like, "Really? I was that bad?" They were like, "Yeah," and they were like, "We're glad that you have we have you back." You know, it's like you know,
Yeah.
it's like the chill Emerson again, right? That is funny and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, that
And
was
that's
that's
just,
what my girlfriend would say. It would
oh
like trigger
really?
me. She'd be like, "What for someone who's like a who teaches non-duality, you're very like intense and stressed and like well
And then
just
you'll say something like, "You're just projecting."
yeah, yeah. It wasn't, it's just this, she could feel that seeking energy in me, this like incessant, like,
Yeah,
always, and then always seeing me reading books. And she's like, you know, if it's all here, then why are you
yeah.
like still searching? I was like, it's just not deep enough yet, you know, like
You don't know when you're
something
not
like
on a
that.
path. You know,
Yeah,
you're not on a path,
yeah,
and this is my path, and this is my destiny. That kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's almost like I took it in pride, like how much I seeked and how devoted I was
yeah,
to
yeah.
the path. Yeah.
I saw that
Wow.
actually in the beginning.
Yeah. 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 That's true with the story.
Yeah. Like, oh, this is just this is gonna be easy. This guy's just like me.
Yeah. Yeah, even because I know you asked that question. I was like rehearsing in my head. Well, what am I going to say? How am I going to present
I threw you off the, you know, the
my
first
story?
question.
Yeah,
Yeah. What do you believe?
yeah. I was like, oh god. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
that was yeah, that was
Yeah. It's,
great. Wow.
yeah. It's good. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm really happy. I love what I do. You know, it's a joy.
Yeah.
It's a joy kind of like doing this one-on-one, especially, right? Because it's like, um, it's, it's, it's in this story, of course, I wish someone slapped me around and spoke clearly like this from the get-go,
Mm,
without going through the hoops of hierarchies of, you know, who's the clearest one of all, or who's the most spiritual, that kind of thing, when it's just very simple. It's so simple. And the joy of the
yeah.
simplicity is like, oh my goodness, right? It's like, um
Yeah, I
yeah,
was just looking at my window there, and it's just so fascinating.
isn't it?
Like just looking at the window, like looking at my hand, like it's all
Yeah,
yeah, everything's just fascinating. It's like
it is. I
almost
You know
like
what,
it's almost like a painting when you see like a
it
really well
is.
done
Yeah, yeah.
painting. It's like
Isn't it
everything's like a
isn't it
nice
so perfect?
yeah,
Isn't it just well
yeah.
done? Like it's
Even
like,
the the mess in my room is perfect. Like
Yes,
the
I always said that, like
yeah.
everything is its right place. And then play that
Yeah.
song by Radiohead called Everything in its Right Place.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Wow.
And it's so ordinary. Like even the dust, even the air, even the garbage, right? The rotting fruit in your fridge, that you were supposed to eat yesterday, is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no
Yeah.
separation really.
Oh, it's crazy. It
Yeah.
is like that. Really, like when you go into an art gallery and you see like a good, well, like those stills of like the fruit bowls and stuff, and you
Yeah.
get that like feeling. It's almost
Yeah.
yeah. Not to like put anything onto it, but it's just like
Yeah. This
because the
is this
mind that's the mind. It cuts it up. It goes, oh, that's moldy. That's bad. That's in
that's
its
right.
not
Yeah,
in its
yeah.
place. That needs to be
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. One time I was I was
Yeah.
looking at this rotting mushroom on a tree, and I was just so fixated by it, and I noticed that I've been looking at it for like 45 minutes. I'm like, "Oh shoot, I better go." Right? I was just looking at the intricacy, like the beautiful kind of like textures and colors, and the it's unbelievable. Like, and then we get caught up in imaginary words. What the hell? When there's this paradise that is pulsating. It's like when I'm walking, I even see that I'm not really moving, but there's movement happening. I don't know how to explain it. It's like
No.
nothing has ever changed, nothing has ever moved. Um and and so people usually that watches these videos and everything, they it's I try to make it so ordinary, but sometimes poetry just happens, right? It's so,
Mm,
because I know that words are all made up. So the poetry just kind of like, oh, it's so wow. And sometimes I just write, I play the piano, I DJ. I'm like a little kid again. I don't have much.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to, just a second here. Isn't it just,
Yeah. It's just fast. Yeah. I don't even know. I have no words. Obviously, I'm just tripping up on my words. It's so yeah.